After their first statement was not investigated on the grounds that the Prime Minister had publicly apologised for his actions, the SMI has resubmitted their statement of accusation against the Prime Minister. At a meeting in Kurbin, the DP leader Basha called on Albanians to join the protests, emphasising that justice free of Edi Rama is the main motive. The institution run by Arta Marku will be the first to undergo vetting. A selection process was conducted today to determine the files that will be subject to controls for the 11 affected prosecutors. Good evening, it's 6 o'clock on Thursday the 11th of January 2018. Welcome to the English edition of Aura News. My name is Alexandra and I'm here to bring you the day's top stories from across the country translated into English. According to the SMI, the negative response from the prosecution office regarding the accusations made against Prime Minister Rama is proof that justice is already in the hands of the government. The SMI Parliamentary Group Chair, Petrit Vasili, informed that his political force has made a second statement of accusation. This follows the response by the accusation body regarding the first instance, in which they stated there was no need for further investigations into the matter as the Prime Minister had made an apology on social media. The prosecution has not investigated the Prime Minister for asking police officers to vote for him, said Petrit Vasili. The SMI gave a statement aimed at indicting the Prime Minister in June last year for violating the law and the Constitution after he appealed to police officers to support the Socialist Party in the elections. The Albanian Constitution prevents any political campaigning amongst state employees at any level. Although it did not attend the Chairman's conference meeting, the SMI has expressed support for the Democratic Party's demand, which includes the resignation of the Assembly Speaker, Gramos Rucci. We support the DP request. Rucci must resign or face termination, said Petrit Vasili. Regarding the majority's accusations, the opposition is hindering the country's EU integration. Vasili said that integration is hindered only by the capture of the justice system, resulting from the appointment of the provisional chief prosecutor. The Democratic Party chairman, Basha, appealed to Albanians to attend the protest on the 27th of January in order to give the message that they are against the political capture of justice by Edi Rama. At the meeting with the citizens of Kurbin, Basha said true justice is the main motive of the protest, but as long as Edi Rama is in charge of the government, he will defend his criminal power by hindering the real reform in justice. This in turn also hinders the European integration of the country. There is no Albania in Europe, and there can be no Albania in Europe without a justice system that protects, with a justice system that does not punish the big fish of crime or corruption. We must solve this problem, starting with the head of the mafia clan, Edi Rama, followed by all his corrupt ministers. There is no Europe without the arrest of the big fish of crime and corruption. Albanians should trust the Democratic Party as this party was born to make Albania like all of Europe, said Basha. Basha also said that the appointment of a political prosecutor in violation of the Constitution and without having undergone a process of vetting is Edi Rama's project to protect Samir Tahiri and to maintain power. Terrified by the true political justice, Edi Rama is doing everything to abort the justice reforms for Albanians. This is one of the reasons why we will meet on January the 27th at 12 p.m. on Saturday to tell Edi Rama that the Democratic Party wants justice, that we want Samir Tahiri, Vanjush Tako and Chazim Saidini in prison. In fact, we want all his corrupt ministers to sit before justice, said Basha. The opposition leader said that an anti-mafia government would guarantee legitimate elections with a legitimate parliament and government who have not bought their power. They claim their main objective is to realise a political front that uses their positions for the development of the country and the well-being of the Albanian people. The Independent Qualification Commission conducted a file selection process today for 11 prosecutors of the General Prosecution Office who are to undergo the vetting process. The prosecutors, who currently go under the filter process, each had 5 files selected at random to be passed on to the experts at the Independent Qualification Commission. The selection of files has started in the early hours of the day, and present for the oversight of this process was the head of the IQC, Gente Bungo. To help the Commission, the General Prosecutor's Office has set up 5 working groups with 2 prosecutors each, who have been tasked with compiling the reports on each file. This is the second phase of file controls, with the first stage focusing on senior directors of justice institutions and candidates for the High Council of Prosecution and the High Judicial Council. The result for the first stage of the vetting process is expected to be made public at the end of January in a special session which will be held by the Independent Qualification Commission. Students in their third year of nursing studies held a protest today, claiming that the university has removed an exam season, resulting in students being unable to complete overdue exams. They requested the Dean to withdraw the decision to cancel the exam sessions, arguing that they had not been informed and the resulting impact was devastating to some. Removing the exam season puts our ability to obtain our degrees at risk, was the message from the students. However, the Dean of the Faculty, Tatiana Tsina, considers the attitude of the students unjust, considering that they have already had 4 seasons of exams each year, yet are still feeling as though they need an extra. Claims that their education is at risk are just untrue. They simply want yet another chance at an exam season, said Tatiana Tsina. In attendance at the protest, a member for the SMI, Kurbin, said that her presence was not in the form of an MP, but simply in support of the students. This is the reality of nurses, despite what shows Rama performs for the media, said Kurbin. The Dean expressed criticism of what she considered political plays by the students in arranging the presence of the MP. According to the official decision, an additional exam season will not be generally available. However, students with extenuating circumstances may submit a request in writing for consideration of additional exam offerings. The IRTC company, who were responsible for the operation of the refineries owned by ARMO in Basha and Fier, have exited Albania, leaving behind little information regarding their departure and an extremely anxious workforce. After hearing the latest developments one day after protests by their colleagues in Basha, the oil workers from Fier also came out in protest this Thursday. The payment of overdue wages and insurance, official registration of employees as oil workers, and the resumption of work are just some of the demands being made. We seek the wages and insurances we are owed, and we wish to resume work, said the general message of the oil workers. The trade union representative said on Thursday that 3 new companies have shown interest in taking over operations, and that whoever successfully tenders will also take over the burden of arrears. However, oil workers want a more concrete answer, with the representation of them addressing the office of the Fier Prefecture as a method of mediation via the government. We ask for concrete answers following the exit of the IRTC company, said the oil workers. The oil workers in Fier and Basha started their protests in early December, as such revealing the latest crisis for the ARMO refineries, which were under the administration of the IRTC company for more than a year. After constant protests, which included a march walking all the way to Tirana, they managed to get November's salary. However, they find themselves waiting yet again, even more anxious as to what the future holds for them. Erosion poses a serious threat to the Kurbin lagoon. Progressing at a frightening pace, just the last few decades have seen the sea take over more than 300 hectares of land in the area. The situation is alarming and requires immediate intervention, according to experts, as the sea encroaches a further 2 metres every year. Immediate measures must be taken. This situation is most alarming, said environmental expert Yakjini. A few days ago, Environmental Minister Blendi Klosi presented the strategy for the reforestation of the area, aimed at protecting this natural wonder against the erosion phenomenon. The reforestation of the area must be completed as soon as possible, said Yakjini. Meanwhile, locally elected officials are demanding further intervention from the government. We need more funding and attention from the government, said Tonin Uldeidai, the head of the Shenzhen Administrative Unit. Considered a pearl of nature on the Adriatic coast, the Kurbin lagoon is a protected area, but has still suffered from significant damage over the years. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join me again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest update from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.